live from Trinidad and Tobago.
Welcome to Connections 50 Plus Wednesdays live show.
I am Terri-and Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It is another Wednesday Alive, and it is 6 o'clock in the afternoon. You're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, you're on Gael. So you're at Connections 50 Plus. Okay. I am Terri-and Joseph Brathwaite, one of the co-creators. And I have guests, not guests with me, other people with me. They're no longer guests. So you know one of us.
All right. So good evening all. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, one of the co-creators or the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus.
And this guy, you met him before. Michael, say hi.
Hi, everybody. This guy is Michael Gray, newly minted associates of Connections 50 Plus. Started off as colleague, friend, tests, pilots, and now I'm fully on board as an associate. So it's a joy to be here. Welcome to one and all, locally, regionally, internationally.
Excellent. So everybody, you know, we're on our ride with getting ready, building up to our anniversary. The 7th of April, Michael, is our second anniversary of launching Connections 50 Plus. We're so excited and we're doing all, well, you've been along for some of the journeys. And today we thought we would take a different approach in terms of resensitizing our audience throughout the Caribbean, from Belize across to Barbados, down to Guyana, and everybody in between, to the work that we do and giving some insights. And people are very familiar, we think, with the work we do with individuals, in particular, our coaching, our entrepreneurship, business, and so on. But we also do work not targeted to an individual, but in support of companies and organizations. And Michael, you are especially involved in that side of the business. And we thought that today would be a good day to give some more light on our work with companies. Because, you know, as Jennifer said, everyone who is on, most people who are here, if you haven't yet retired, you may be thinking about retirement, you know, and Jen, you know what people who thinking about retirement, their concerns would be.
Definitely. And I mentioned to Michael, you know, just chatting prior to starting the show, is that every single workshop we have done for companies, the employees are always at the end, you know, saying thank you, because they so appreciated, you know, the information that was shared and helping them to really, you know, give them a roadmap to move forward in their transition into whatever situation, because many are a little anxious about what they can do. And after we chat and share, you know, information and give examples, etc., they're always very happy and appreciative that the company made that decision for them to be part of the workshop.
Yeah. You know, so Michael, and we're going to have you as a interview. I don't know the answers. We don't know the answers to these questions that I'm going to ask.
We'll explore them.
What on earth will Connections 50 Plus, a transition-oriented company seeking to prepare individuals for life on the third act stage, what on earth would they be doing in a company?
Well, in a very fascinating way, by the time we evolve into our third act, the first act, you know, development, formative, second act, building career, professionalism, becoming established, you know, deepening expertise. For most people, that occurs within the framework of being an employee in a company somewhere. Now, as time has gone on, we all know we've moved on from, one job for life or one company for life, and people have become increasingly mobile in their careers in terms of moving from region, country, company, and sometimes even discipline. But by the time they assume some level of seniority, and are beginning to think about life beyond the company, because in some cases, well, in most cases, it's fairly programmed. You reach a certain age and you're expected to, quote unquote, retire from the company.
Yeah.
Now, we know that's a signal for another lease on life.
Yeah.
In some cases, in today's environment, the departure isn't scheduled, and people are getting downsized. Companies have to make tough decisions, and in some cases, people just decide they want to move on and do things, or they may have a little idea that they want to pursue on their own. And so it's very interesting in interacting with HR people that it's not a strange topic to be talking about, because HR professionals are in tune with their employees, their colleagues, their workforce. They're aware of different movements and the different dreams, and in some cases, the states of mind that the employees are in. So they're very open to having this kind of conversation. Now, it is new, it is innovative, it's different, and but it doesn't take long for an HR person to get it, because they're in the movement, they're in the process, they're managing the HR cycle of recruitment, selection, and maintenance of employees and the workforce. So to talk about transition and to understand that it's not necessarily negative is something native to HR professionals, I have found. What is new and what takes a little time in the discussion is that they tend to be familiar with the EAP experience. And in some cases, they do have some resettlement or some orientation workshops, specifically in the area of finances, especially if it's a financial type institution. So they talk to the employees about finance. But in terms of the issues of wellness that are covered in our life transition coaching workshops and assessments, in terms of integrating all of the three together into one message, that is new. And matching the employees' talents or skill sets to what they may want to do after they leave would not be a focus of the company necessarily, on maybe not even the EAP, depending on how they engage, because the EAP is primarily concerned with maintaining the equilibrium and health of employees within the company.
To work.
So that is where the discussion gets interesting. It's not, as I said, it's not strange to an HR professional to be looking out for employee benefits or their welfare or things to develop employees. What is new, though, is the extent to which the considerations are holistic, that are required, especially in today's environment, for employees to move on beyond the company.
Yeah, I like to say beyond the security guard.
I was getting to that. That's a very nice sequence. I want you to put that down somewhere in this discussion. The stages of movement.
Yeah, but I want to ask Jennifer something. Jennifer, I know that you've done a lot of consulting with employees getting ready for transition or retirement. And I know that you have some strong feelings about what is discussed in the workplace and the limitations of those discussions, because it's done in a financial and it's very limited. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about what is presently done so that we can juxtapose how we complement and add to it.
Yeah, I totally agree with Michael. Let me see, because while Michael was speaking, what popped up in my head, Michael, was exactly what you said. The comparison with the EAP program as against our transition program.
Yeah.
So my experience with the EAP programs, or those who may have already retired from companies, have participated in their program, which they normally do maybe a one-day quick workshop focusing on the finance, helping them, what they should do with their money, their lump sum, etc. When they come to me after the fact and we start to chat, they realize that that is only a very small component, as you mentioned, the finance, but it's not, not covering the key areas that they will encounter when they leave. So with our program, when we are with a company, when we are actually doing a workshop for a company, what we do first, yes, that financial aspect is covered because that is key, but how it is covered, the methodology that is used in discussing in that session would be completely different. Being a financial coach and coming out of the financial sector, I clearly understand the difference when you chat with a group, like if it's like they look at it as a maths class, so they're staring at you, as against when you are engaging them and it's really fast. The other, the benefit also with Terri-and with me discussing is the experience, having gone through it, both being, having that financial sort of background, in that when we sit with someone, we rarely do it more on an individual. So the difference, Michael, and you may be aware, when it's a whole group and you're chatting, people do not want to share their personal information. Many are ashamed and they don't want other people to know about it. I have found also in cases when before we actually begin the program, especially where it's financial coaching, I would ask the HR if we can have information. It don't have to be personal information. One, we need to get the formula that they use in calculating that retirement, the package, and also to provide the individuals with what their real figures are. I am not too sure, and I am whether in the EAP process or what they do that. That is critical in any one of the financial coaching programs, because Michael, people come in there, and Terri-and could attest to this, that when we start and we are, do you know what your package is? And yeah, and companies tend to only send their employees who within that year of retirement.
Or month.
Yeah, Michael, you can, many times that we say, let them plan prior, but you're looking at the financial situation, and HRI have to juggle how they're doing their training programs. So most of the time, all of the time, I shouldn't say most, they are employees who are in there, they're about to retire. Sometimes they just have a few months to go. But we ask that question, which is a very important question. Do you know what your retirement package? And they don't. And I think maybe many cases, they don't because they are scared to go and find out. They prefer work with what is in their heads. So we remove that fear and we say, let's face the reality. All right. So that is one aspect I would say is key to our, that particular session on the financial coaching. Also, they must share their goals. We need to discuss, what do you really want to do? And on the surface, I'll tell you, I want to travel. I want to pay for me, all those things. But really, what type of life, what the quality life you like to enjoy? Because when we say you have at least, Michael, 20 years. So you're talking people living in their 50s, 20 years not bad. So think 60, you're looking at age 80. Think 50, guess what? You're looking at my age. Exactly. So that reality really shakes them up, Terri-and. They're like, and I say, it took 20 years. Can your money last then? Do you really want to pay off X? So you get it into, and of course we do active exercises. So they can on their own, look at that chart, put on what it is to get in, etc., etc. So that is the start. That is so important. And then I have had a case where, and again, this is a company group doing the combination. As you said, we do the wellness, the self-care, we combine. And in doing that, the financial aspect, of course, we discuss estate planning, what they want to do, what they want to, if they want to leave, what they want to leave in their estate for their families, etc. And there was one particular situation where that client or that employee was actually, the parents left the house for her away. So, it's years ago we're talking about, not really for her, but they left the house. She was living upstairs, the brother and family living downstairs, the sister, they put a little thing at the side, as they say, So it's like 3 of them in one building, okay? And in discussing, what she didn't realize was that when we asked who actually owns the house, they never put anything in place. As if anything happens to you, can they put out your children who live with you? And she said, no, everybody old, etc., etc. And these are the things, at the end of it, she was just devastated when she had to face the reality that if she don't put things in place and get the family to come together and make a decision, then anything could happen. And that is what creates a lot of chaos. So I'm just sharing this, Michael, out to the audience to say that this is so important. And if that person wasn't, if that employee wasn't in that session, they would not have been aware of things like that. Mm-hmm. So we actually get them to go deeper into their situation, share, and of course with our guidance, definitely at the end of it, they're in a better position. And added to that, and I just mentioned it, and Terri-and will take it from there. Added to that, Michael, we have also included our assessments together. We offer the assessments as part of the program. It's optional, but I must say that again will make a difference, because each employee would have, and yes, they may have done assessments before, but these are customized assessment looking at their situation, and we are better able to guide them based on the report. Mm-hmm. So basically, that's in a nutshell, Terri-and, that what they can expect of us, because, I can go on and on. We have so many different situations that come up.
Michael, what's your experience? I know you would have worked with many different companies, interacted with many employee HR people, and, on the ground, and I know you've been through a transition process yourself. What has been the employee experience of transition? Are most people shocked or surprised by what they end up with, or where they're going? What's their emotional state?
I think there's a spectrum. I think with the more programmed transitions, even though, as Jennifer says, people may be afraid of going to find out exactly what their package looks like, there is a sense of, I think, at least familiarity with the idea. It's not a surprise. Mm-hmm. And just to backtrack on one thing that Jennifer was saying, I was speaking with a financial institution recently, and I was saying, ideally, you should pick a cohort of people who may have 5 years to go within the organization to start this process with them, so that if there's any course corrections that need to be made, or any significant adjustments in lifestyle, they at least have a little buffer to put that in place. Yeah. And this very progressively thinking HR professionals saying, no. We have a cohort of middle management. I'm thinking we could even start them on this now. Yeah. Because we have a program we put them through closer to the end. But I think this would be great if we could get them into the mindset because it's somewhere over the horizon as far as they are concerned.
Yeah.
But it's something they need to have in mind as they make their decisions going forward to the latter stages of their career. And I thought it was I thought it was wonderful.
Mhm.
So I really hope that comes off.
Yeah.
And we could talk more about it
Yeah.
when we have the actual experience.
Yeah.
But to get back to the question, I think, especially in this climate, employees should take it upon themselves to educate themselves. In the worst case scenario, if I'm downsized, what is likely to be my severance package? And in some cases, as I've observed, it's very difficult. And in some cases, you may think you're entitled to something, but in fact, depending on the terms of your employment or the nature of your post, you may not be entitled. So, for instance, managers, you have to drill down into what that means in each particular organization,
Oh, yeah.
are not entitled. So there may be some assumptions floating around in your head that, okay,
the Severance and Benefits Act does not cover managers, it covers workers.
Yeah. And so that was a huge shock for a lot of people that I was aware of. And I think, as Jennifer says, the onus is now more and more on the individual, on the employee, to be aware and to make themselves aware. Because ordinarily, nobody will call a staff meeting to talk about this in the normal course of life.
Yeah.
You're treating with business issues, what's happening, what we're doing, new initiatives, any challenges operationally, and so on. This is not a topic that will come up ordinarily. But given the current climate, I would really suggest strongly that people start asking some questions and doing their research and find out, where do I stand if the worst comes to the worst? Or maybe just take a look at your industry and look at the overall trends. Are you in an industry that's in its mature phase? Is your product in the sunset phase? Will you really have a career in this area for the next 10 to 15 years, depending on where you are? And depending on what you find out, you can put in the action now. If you have to change career, diversify, change company, migrate if necessary, whatever it is, more and more the onus is moving from the company taking care of me, which is a mindset that existed in the past. If I'm loyal to the company be loyal to me, and take responsibility for your trajectory, because you never know in these circumstances what can happen. And if you don't have, again, which is the wider wellness issues, a support system, if you haven't built a resilience into your family, into your lifestyle and so on, things could get chaotic very quickly.
And Michael, I want to twist that in a looking at it from a different perspective, because we often talk in connections, we say we do things in 3 buckets. We look at preparation for life on the 3rd act in 3 buckets. First of all, you got to take care of yourself, which is where a lot of our life coaching, transition coaching exists. Then we say you have to take care of yourself financially to make sure that life in those additional 50 to 80 to 90 to 100 years, you can supplement the pension, whatever it is. You may have sources of income, but you may have to create more sources. And then we think of community. When you look at the person, that cohort that is in the prime of the 2nd act, and it doesn't matter if you're in managerial positions, wherever you are at the pinnacle. And in that, let's say 30 to 60 period, let's say 40 to 50, 40 to 55 period. That is when you finally get a house. You finally get a car. The children in university, or they get in trade school, or they're doing what they want to do. You finally getting to go vacation somewhere and stay in a hotel. You don't have to stay by the sister or the aunt or the mother on somebody's couch or squeeze up somewhere. You could finally begin to do what is living. And very often, this happens backed by credit cards, credit union, or bank loans because we don't have a high propensity to save. So the conversation is sometimes when you're talking to a 40, 45, even 50-year-old, it's something like, excuse me, I prefer to just not look at the possibilities. I prefer to just, it might come, but it's not coming now, or it might come later. And a big issue for, and why we like the work with companies is important, is that really the company really has no interest or business helping you when you are the prime of contributing to corporate life, thinking about afterwards. But the company knows that you should begin preparing. And this is where companies like to bring us in to at least get their employees to begin thinking and planning, because, you know, it may not be that you have to give up your life. You don't have to give up the house and you can't take the children out of school and start going back by Auntie Joe to lie down on the couch when you go on vacation. Yeah. But you could start thinking about, okay, and as Jennifer said, get real and find out what the retirement package is. Get real. If you're working for $20,000 a month and you understand that your pension is going to be $8,000, there is an adjustment to be made. Yeah. Or if you're working for 10 and you realize it's going to be 2 and you're not qualifying for NIS, there is an adjustment to be made. In those years, you can begin to develop a parallel source of income through some kind of business, some hobby. You can begin to at least ease the transition. And this is what our entire transition proposition is about, because really, you won't go to HR to get the number, because you know that your life in the 10 years before you leave, if normal departure is going to think, is probably when your debt is at its peak. Correct. And you really, what are going to find out? But you know, if you get that gap, you have a 10-year period to start building something, or as we say, bring your kids into the program, bring a cousin into the program, you know, start to get something in place. So when that time comes and the $20,000 salary becomes a $8,000 pension, or the $10,000 salary becomes a $2,000 pension, you can have something that is starting, has become mature or developed. And, you know, you might get a little 3,000, 4,000 to boost it up and supplement it, you know? Jennifer, what do you think about that?
Terri-and, you're saying when that time comes, and I would say that time is now. Michael mentioned this is the climate. So it's no time to come again. This is the time.
You might get it next week.
No, because Michael, I agree with Michael, this pandemic has just changed around every single thing.
Yeah.
You know, before you may think when a company downsizing or so, they start from the bottom, you know, or the last in, first out or something like that. Now it's not like that. You could be anywhere within, senior manager, executive, etc., etc. So this is the time. We cannot wait, because no one foresaw what is happening now. No. So my suggestion, and I believe from what is happening out there, the HR professionals who are left, because many of them had to leave themselves, are very well aware that this is the time for companies to take action, and this is the time for them to really look at their training program, change it around, and see, okay, how can we support the employees who are there now? Because within a month, they may not be there again. Within a month, the company may be all digital. You know, so yes, this is the time. Now is the time. Is there a song? Now is the time. Now is the time.
It's a team song.
Yeah. And before Michael, and I found that in my experience also, employees are so used to companies paying for them all the time, sending them on courses, giving them that support. So they didn't have to put out any money. For some of them, they may have to repay, but they could repay over a 3-year period, etc. Something that amount that is comfortable to them. Now they may have to also look at using their own money for those who don't wait, because we're not sure. You don't know if you would be the one to receive a letter. And this is like, you don't wait. Company can't give you a month advance notice again, you know? So this is the time, I would say, too, for employees to look at, let me see whether I should look at my situation, and I may also have to put out money out of my pocket for my future. Ideally, we would love the companies to sponsor, these courses, because it will help. But because of the climate, because of the economy, because all companies now under financial constraints, I think it's the onus and the employees also to take action. Definitely. Right? So no, there's no more time left.
Yeah. Right. Now, Jennifer, the thing about it is that if people may be saying, all right, you've gotten my attention, I think we need to be doing something here. And just to give you a sense of how we provide programs for Jen, the Sales Savvy Coaching Workshop. What is that about, and why is that so important?
When we looked at the entire our offerings, exactly what we could offer the 50 plus cohort employees, there, we thought, and I came out of sales also. As a senior sales manager, I'm very, very aware how important it is to have that sort of what you see, not experience, but that skill of selling. And when we say selling, we knew that many people think selling, you're going to beg. I shouldn't use beg here. Begging right now is
it's a bad word.
Michael, begging right now is a bad word to use. But and it is, you saw the reaction when you use the word begging. So yes, so it is not begging, it is really sitting and chatting. And we have found, when Terri-and I, especially when we work with persons who want to go into business, and they may have even the product or services, they will say, oh gosh, I don't know how to sell, I can't make. They always look at the negative aspect. So our sales savvy is not just, we call it savvy, but we have to put in sales because it is about selling.
You have to confront it.
Yeah. And as I'm still wearing the sales hat, is that you have to sell yourself first, If you do not know your product, you know your service, or you do not like what you do or who you are, then Michael, I can't come and convince you with anything.
True.
So we start with the mindset. It's important to start with that mindset. Liking yourself, being very proud of your product. Again, I have to watch my words these days with what is happening here in Trinidad, with all the talks that are going on. But proud of who you are, whoever you are, and also proud of your service and product. So that sales savvy would help you understand you. We also look at, people have different talents and skills and different personalities. So we look at personalities. I remembered when I went into the insurance industry, I was told you have to be out there, you have to be really, well, we're using the word savvy. Yeah, everybody have to know you, etc. And I realized that wasn't so. You have your personality. What you build on is trust. So we would chat about what you do, how people can trust you, because it's all about being honest and, getting to and learn how to engage with your prospective client, etc. So with the sales savvy sessions or program, what a client will be able to do after that is really go out there with confidence to talk to engage with your clients, to tell your story. It's really tell your story.
And Jennifer,
convincingly.
One of the things that I have to point out that is why the Sales Savvy Workshop is critical is that the fact of the matter is that when you think of the number of people in an organization, and especially in management,
Yeah.
who have to interact with clients, who have to go and ask for the sale, it's a very small number. Most managers, with all of their status, all of their power, they don't have to ask anybody for business. They don't have to, they are supports, more or less supports. So and even administrative or clerical people, when they have to leave and they have to try and start a business or do something, they don't have a clue. And what this program does is help you to get into that mode and definitely shed some of the very negative stereotypes and expectations people have about asking. I mean, everyone is on the other end of a selling transaction, because once you buy, somebody sold you. It's just that now you collecting the money rather than handing it to someone else. So we think that sales savvy corporate workshop to help employees who are preparing to transition, especially if you want to get into some business, just understand how to sell is so important.
And Terry, I'm sorry, one thing I missed also, and going back when you're talking about the employees there, is the front line. Anyone in a company that's in the front line, from the operator that answering that phone to the receptionist there, you mentioned the managers, anyone, and which is mostly all the employees that interacting with the public, need to understand about that sales. And as we say, sales is really engaging with your customers. Yeah.
Michael, is that an issue that you find people understanding when they transition out, being prepared to sell, to generate additional income? Is that something that you find is an issue with people?
Definitely. I would have observed that, I would say, well, a couple of things, maybe culturally, but our education system teaches us to read and write primarily. So you write reports, write this, send out letters. But when you talk about public speaking, interaction, even before you reach the level of sales, we get less comfortable. And I think that the idea that regardless of organization, public sector, private sector, whatever industry, you are ultimately selling a product or a service. You are providing something that you have to explain to people will be of use or benefit or value to them. And in some cases, you have to pay for. Now, that seems basic to every civilization, whether you're bartering, whether you were quote unquote, primitive society. Trading is a basis of the thing. So there's a little disconnect I've observed in our experience when getting into the mood of sales, even debating. There's a challenge, there's a stumbling block, and it's something that we need to explore a bit. I don't know if in some cases there's a stigma because it doesn't appear to be as academic as being a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, but even doctors and lawyers sell services or sell arguments. I remember, I always tell the story. When I was in secondary school, the goal was in getting the full certificate, chasing the scholarship and so on. And we had a few cases of persons who were not that academically inclined. And they used to be say, oh, well, he didn't do well in school. His parents opened a business for him, as though that was something of less secondary, less importance. And somehow you didn't have to be as proficient in whatever way to do it. But in fact, I guess if we fast forward a couple of decades, those people in business versus those of us who ended up in the corporate world may arguably have had a more rewarding or wide-ranging set of experiences than those of us who ended up in the 8 to 4. So I think the idea or the disconnect that trading interacting with humans or corporate entities.
Mhm.
That interaction, that conversation is central to being a human being.
Yep.
And somehow we lost that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We lost it in the definition of status.
Definitely, Michael. I remembered also, Michael, when I decided to leave. So I worked at the civil service before, and decided to go into insurance. I was told, like, I mean, how could you? You're educated. It was like, you're educated. You're going into sales, and you know that a couple of years now. So that was like a no-no. My father, he was so disappointed. We were almost ashamed to say it. You know, that,
Yeah.
oh God, she not, because saying that, you know, your service, because it was in the clerical field and senior. So that is nice to see. She's so and so and so working. So, but
You're
then
going to
she's in
become a beggar.
insurance. It is really a negative. I had the experience also. I remember going to a particular company to see one of the managers, and the security guard at the booth there, I had to go to him first. He watched me up and down and said, "You're selling insurance?" I say, "Yes." He said, "Well, you had to wait to see so and so, you know, like if it's like
He had more status than you.
I had to call the manager and say, "Listen, please, just talk to your guard," you know. And he had to come down and tell him, and that's how I got to go upstairs. I swear he would have left me standing right there. So that stigma about sales is only after now, when people look and you realize the entrepreneur, the businessman, the salesperson, all of them making much more money, and you realize that they can triple the income of the executive sitting down, you know, in the company.
But Jennifer, don't think it is so bad, you know, because I existed in the corporate world. And before any strategic planning session,
Yeah.
I would make it my business to go out on the trade with salespeople. I would say, all right, what route are you going today? And I'm going with you, just observing, talking to the trade. And listen, the insight it gives you, it keeps you
Yes.
connected and understanding how you can guide your business. And I have had, on a couple of occasions, senior managers or other colleague managers asking me, why are you wasting your time going on the trade with your reps? And they bring information for you.
It's like if you're lowering yourself. Yeah.
Yes. So there is, you know, with the position, and you're inside and you're doing this and you're doing that. And there is a perception that you are really creating this business and making this business. But if you don't know how to connect outside there with the, you know, and Michael, you would know when I taught at the university in marketing, one of my favorite things is to make somebody go walk around the mall and come back and tell me, go in the grocery, go look at the windows and tell me what is that business trying to do and who is it trying to reach. And those are the basic capacities and capabilities you need to have to be able to, you know. So listen, I can't believe I just looked at my clock and we had 43 minutes. Huh? But I think that it was so important for us to talk, because we do programs for companies so that they can help their employees make that transition beyond the security guard, beyond the front door. And when the security guard puts down the arm, bye, you know, you come out and you're wondering, what's next? Connection.
You know, they're not letting them back in after that.
You know, or when you come back in, as Gregory McGuire, one of our guests, said, you're coming back in to sit down on the bench and wait to see the manager.
No special privilege.
No, no, you can't be ushered in. You wait there, call, you expected this one. Sit and wait, you know. So, and the thing about it is that we take all of our assessments in there, which are such a valuable tool to help people understand where they are and how they are to go. So a big part of our repositioning and our relaunching Connections 50 Plus is not only dealing with you on an individual basis with the life coaching, the wellness, the financial coaching, entrepreneurial coaching, not only dealing with you as you aim to set up your individual business as an SME and helping you along that way with our evolution programs, but for those of you who are looking out there, whether you're in HR or you may just be an employee thinking,
Yes.
wait, I need to talk to my company.
I know.
I need to talk to my boss. They need to get in touch with these connections people, you know?
Yeah. And Terri-and the company benefits tremendously too, as a result of that. Yeah.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So, Michael, we'll let you round this off. Connections 50 Plus and the corporate services that we offer before we go.
Yeah, the experience has overwhelmingly been positive in terms of granting and gaining an understanding of what we offer and the benefits to the employee. The benefit to the company, as Jennifer alluded to, is one of having an engaged employee, understanding that the employee is being considered as more than just a cog in a machine, and the fact that that empowerment would enable them to become more grounded at work, more responsible, because they recognize that their current performance and what they're doing now has an impact on their life, not just within the company, but in terms of the trajectory after they leave. So in essence, it's a win-win. It may be seen as, well, this has no immediate benefit to me, but actually when you probe it a little bit more and we talk it through, we realize that, okay, yeah, if I can get the employee more motivated, more stimulated, more grounded, more realistic about where they are, it adds to their performance. It aids in even the performance management of the employee, because they're aware that they're building something that is bigger than today. They are now able to think and project over the horizon that I can become of greater value to myself and to my organization. And in that regard, I mean, it's thrilling, because you are able to be prepared for your future and empowered for your present.
Yep, excellent.
Yes.
And one more point that is so important. Every one of our programs is available either face-to-face or 100% digitally. So whether across the Caribbean, we are able to deliver services in Trinidad, it doesn't matter where you are. You can definitely be in touch with us, talk to us, and be part of getting ready to design that third act stage and write your script and transition very easily from the second act to the third act. So, Jennifer, any parting words before we leave?
I think just to let everyone know that Connections 50 Plus team, we are here to support you through your transition.
Excellent. So, from Belize, right through the Greater Antilles, down the Lesser Antilles to Barbados in the east, Trinidad in the south, and all the islands in between, and I'm going to call all of them, and our nation states, Guyana in the south and Belize in the west. And Gael family, as usual, that's how we get to you all, through Gael. So, bye. See you.
Bye. See you.
All the best, everyone.
50 Plus Tribe, and follow us from TNT and the Caribbean.
Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus Wednesday Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like and share our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.